Open house in Marietta last night centered around the city's first new comprehensive plan in decades. Our Chase Campbell has more.
On Wednesday night, Marietta residents got a chance to talk about the future of their city at an open house for the Reimagine Marietta plan. Reimagine Marietta is an effort by the city to develop a comprehensive plan to guide it through the coming years. According to Ward 2 City Councilman Brett Alphen, the plan is a long time coming.
The comprehensive plan part of it is well due. We've done a number of plans over the years, but this is the first, fully city-supported comprehensive plan in decades.
The plan, which is still in the works, is being developed with help from community planning firm Compass Point. Project manager Wendy Moeller says the plan covers a lot of ground.
We have themes related to housing, economic development, reinvestment and property maintenance, infrastructure, quality of life, parks and recreation, and all the things that really people relate to as part of their daily lives.
Along with the comprehensive plan, part of Reimagine Marietta is studying and rethinking the city's zoning.
Zoning is important because it helps us understand what we're doing with the land inside the city, and so the zoning definitions and the zoning information that we have active right now is largely unchanged since it was originally instituted in the 1960s.
Updating the city's zoning can open the door to greater varieties of land use.
What can you build? Can you build a house? Can you build an office? Can you build a commercial thing?
Alphen says the comprehensive plan portion of Reimagine Marietta will be finished soon, with work on zoning to start shortly thereafter.
We're really in the closing phases, if you will, of the comprehensive plan part. So we've been at this for a year. We've had a number of public engagements, a number of open houses like this, and so that's kind of the first part. The zoning audit, I'm optimistic that we will start after the new year, and I'd really love to be able to substantially conclude that by the end of 2025.
Wesley Clark, a Marietta resident who attended the open house, shared his thoughts.
It looks like they put together a detailed preliminary plan. I hope that the general public that is here today is being brought in early enough in the process that comments we have about the plan can actually impact the plan.
A draft of the comprehensive plan will appear on reimaginemarietta.com in the coming days, according to Wendy Moeller. And Marietta, Chase Campbell, WTAP News.